One of the things that I notice is that there's a lot of similarities between Gideon and Jesus. And I've listed some of them here. Gideon led a humble and a hidden life during his early years. No, nobody knew about who Gideon is. And in fact, he was living in hiding. And Jesus led a humble and a hidden life for 30 years. We see that Gideon's people, the people of God, were oppressed by the enemy. And we see when Jesus came into this world, people lived in darkness and were oppressed by the enemy. We see that Gideon was the least among his clan. That's exactly what Gideon says. And we see Jesus was the least among men, even to be born in a very humble setting. And Gideon, as we have seen, he broke down the altars of Baal. And Jesus threw the money changers' tables and cleansed his father's house. We see that Gideon was being targeted by his own people, and they wanted to kill him. In fact, that's what we read in the 6th chapter. And we see in Jesus, his own people killed him. Gideon overcame numerous enemies with few soldiers. And Jesus defeated the world just with 12 disciples. Gideon won the war against the enemy with jars of clay and trumpets and torches. And Jesus' disciples' only weapons even today are human jars of clay through which the light and life of Jesus shines out. And the trumpet that God has given to us is the voice that you and I can speak with. And the torch is the Holy Spirit. God defeated the enemies through unusual strategies. And God, the creator of heaven and earth, defeated the enemy through unconventional weapon, through sacrifice of his own son. It's not only Gideon that almost lived thousands of years before Jesus and almost lived as a foretaste of what God was going to do through Jesus. But now Jesus has commissioned you and me to be his witnesses. And how can you and I be his witnesses? Apostle Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 4th chapter verses 6 to 7. He says, "For God who commanded the light to shine out of darkness has shined in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. But we have this treasure in jars of clay."